Sanako Connect is a session-based online language lab, which is equally at home in the classroom or to be used in distance learning. Connect was developed to meet the modern demands for a language lab, which means that we don't store student login information at all. Students log in with a URL, a web link, which is shared by the teacher through email or a learning management system, for example. We have a dedicated server through Amazon, so all the files stay safe as well. Connect can currently be used with laptops, Chromebooks, and tablets. While some students have had success with using Connect with mobile phones, we don't currently officially support mobile phones yet. Teachers can easily divide the students into groups, share files with the students, or create exercises. There are also many ways to communicate with all the students through audio or chat. The teacher can also review student work and provide them with feedback. Students can use their own laptops or tablets while using Connect. Being a language lab, Connect allows the students to spend more time speaking than a traditional classroom environment. Okay, that concludes the presentation. Does anyone have any questions at this point, or shall we move on and take a more hands-on approach with Connect? I guess we're fine, so I will just log into Connect and we can go on from there. Okay, when you sign up for a free Connect account currently, Sanako will send you an email with a link to this site. This is where the teachers log in to Connect and create their accounts inside the system. So you should receive an email from Sanako with this address included, along with a token for Sanako Connect. With that token, you can create accounts in Connect. The token we send you is actually tied to your institution, so it's not personal. You can use the same token to create accounts for as many teachers as you require inside your institution. To create accounts, you first click on the Create Account button. There you enter your name, email, password, and then you paste the token into this field here and click on Create Account. After that, your account has been created in Sanako Connect and you can freely log in. Let's do that now. Now we arrive at the session view. This is where we create the classrooms or sessions in Sanako Connect. When we create a new session here, it creates the session on the Sanako server. That means that the session can be accessed by your students even if your internet connection goes down or you close your computer entirely. So let's create a new session here. We create it by clicking on the plus new session button. Then all we need to do is to give the session a name. This name will be displayed to your students when they join the session. So it's better to have something descriptive here that the students know already. You can also protect the session with a password if you so wish. After that, you click on Create and the session will be added to this list here. Next to the session, you see the date when the session was created, and you can access the info panel by clicking on the I button here. In this view, we already see the link that we should share with our students if we want to allow them to join the session. So it's the one at the top next to the URL thing. All we need to do is copy this link and send it to our students. There's a button here that immediately copies the URL to your clipboard for easy access. From this view, as a teacher, we are already able to join the session as well. But we can just as easily do it from this session view by clicking on the green button on the same row as the session. So let's join this one. We are now entering the session as a teacher. Normally, when you enter a session, the session doesn't have any students inside it yet. There will be an empty space here in the middle telling you that you don't have any students here yet. Your students will be joining by clicking on the link that you share with them. This is the link as well, so you can easily copy it from here too. My colleague Thu has already brought in 4 students, but I will bring in one more using this computer so we can see what happens on the student end when they log in. I'll open a guest account on my Chrome to simulate a student entering the session. So the student receives this link from their teacher and then clicks on it. Let's see what happens next. Now we're joining the session as a student and we receive a prompt, "Hi, welcome to," and here is the session name in italics. For this session, it's English. And then the system prompts them for their name. This could just as well be a student number or any name that the student wants, but let's just choose Alexis student 1 here. And then they click on continue. Now the next step is important. The students are asked by the system to allow the use of their microphone. As we will be recording a lot as a student, this has to be allowed for the audio functions to work. So the students click on allow. If the students accidentally click on block, they can easily change the setting in their Chrome browser by clicking on the icon that looks like a movie projector and changing the setting from here. Let's go back to the teacher end, and here we see the student we just entered is inside the classroom as well. Let's take a look at the audio and chat functions available to us at this point when the students have entered our session, but we haven't put them inside groups yet. The first thing we're going to take a look at is this big red button at the upper right-hand corner here. It says Speak to Class. If we click on this as a teacher, it will broadcast our voice to all of these students that are inside the session at the moment. The students won't be able to speak back to us at this point. This is purely a one-way communication to give instructions for the students uninterrupted, so the students can't interrupt you while you're giving the instructions. As for the text-based communication tools, we can enable a chat for our students. We can do that from the teacher menu here on the right. So if we click here, we have a bunch of options, but let's choose the toggle global chat. It opens up a chat window. But as a teacher, we are in control, so we have to enable the chat for our students. To do that, we would click on this button here. Now our students can write in the chat as well. As teachers, we can always write in the chat, but after enabling the chat, our students can write in as well. Now, if your students write something inappropriate here, for example, or something that shouldn't be said inside this session, we can easily delete the messages as a teacher forever, just by clicking on the X above the message here. Okay. Now the other options available to us as a teacher when students aren't inside a group yet is we can talk with an individual student. We click on the student icon of the student we want to speak to, and it opens up a menu. Here we have the option of speaking with the student. It's a two-way communication, so here the student will be able to speak back to you as well. This is useful for giving instructions to an individual student, for example. We can also listen to what the student is doing if we want. The student will receive a prompt that the teacher is listening in, so they are also kept up to date to what's happening here. We can also send them private messages by using the direct message option here. So if we click on this, I'm able to send to a message, and if she replies back to us, we'll see how it looks on our end here. There we go. We have a message from this student now. This icon popped out on top of their student icon, letting us know that we have a direct message from this student. And here we see her message. But okay, now we want to connect these students with each other so that they can hear each other and speak with each other. For example, for a pair discussion. And for that to happen inside Connect, we need groups. So let's create some new groups. We create new groups by clicking on the plus icon here. We can create as many as we want, and then just clicking on the student icon allows us to use the Move To option and move them inside the groups one by one. There's also an easier way, an automatic way inside Connect. It's called the split function here. So we're going to create a pair discussion, even though we have 5 students in the classroom. So let's see what happens. If we click on the split button, the system will ask how many students we want inside each group. For a pair discussion, we'll choose groups of 2. Now we have 5 students, so that would mean one of the students is left out as an orphan. We've changed it so that the orphan student is automatically added to the last group, so no one will be left without a group. This way, the one final group will have 3 students here. Now, as a teacher, we can easily just move these students around to get the group composition that we want. We can also let the system shuffle the students inside the groups. When we're satisfied with how our groups look, we click on Create Groups. Now in the background, Connect creates as many groups as is required and automatically assigns these students into these groups. Okay, let's click on one of the groups and see what options are available to us. Now the students are inside groups, but the audio connection hasn't been made yet, so they can't hear each other yet. Again, as a teacher, we are in control, so we will be enabling the audio for the groups. Let's enable audio between these 2 students in group A. So we click again, just like in the chat, we have a similar toggle here. If we click on that, the system automatically connects these 2 students with each other. And these 2 options become available to us now that the students are inside a group and their audio is connected. We can speak with this group, which allows the students also to speak to us. So this is again two-way communication. As a teacher, we can participate in the group and speak with our students. Or we can just listen in on the group by using this option here. And once again, it will tell the students that the teacher is listening in. When the students are inside a group, the individual listening and speaking options are grayed out. They are not available when the students are inside a group, because then the group will be connected with each other. But okay, now that the audio is enabled, these two students can hear each other and can speak with each other as well. So to quickly recap what we've gone through so far, we've gone through the audio and chat functions available to us. We can use this button to speak with all the students or speak to all the students. The students won't be able to speak back to us. We can also enable the chat for the students from the teacher menu, or when the students aren't inside a group, we can speak with individual students or listen in on them. The direct messages between the teacher and an individual student are always available, so we can send direct messages using this option. And when the students are inside a group, we can disable and enable the audio for that group. And after the audio is enabled, we can speak with these students or listen in on what they are doing currently. Does anyone have any questions at this point regarding the audio or chat functions here?
No question, thanks.
Okay. One thing I didn't mention yet is that each group has a separate chat window as well. So we have a session chat or a global chat that all the students can write into, that the teacher enables and disables. And on top of that, each group has a separate chat as well. So the students inside this group can write into this chat as well. Okay, let's take a look at file sharing inside Connect. It's useful in many ways, but mostly for sending files to students. So we click on the Files tab at the top here. To upload files inside Connect, all we have to do is we drag and drop files here, or we click on the area and choose them from our computer. I will quickly upload an MP3 and a PDF, and I will also upload a file that cannot be opened by the browser. So let's pick up Word document, for example, and see what happens when we share that with our students. Okay, the files are done uploading, but your students cannot access these files yet. This means that you can upload all the files that you need, but you can just launch individual files to students when needed. I will just share these 3 files with my students now. To do that, I just click on the file and choose Share to Session. Now let's pop to the student end and see what happens there. So we're now at the student end and we see the 3 files here available to us. If I click on the MP3 file as a student, I can listen to the MP3 file right here. If I click on the PDF will load, and as a student, we will be able to view the PDF. All the PDF functions like hyperlinks work perfectly fine here, or we can print the file or download it. Now the third file I shared is a Word document. Connect is browser-based, and browsers cannot open Word documents directly. So when you share a type of file that cannot be opened by the browser, Connect will offer your students the option of downloading the file. So now that I clicked on the download button here, the file is immediately downloaded on my computer, and as a student, I'm able to work on that file on my computer instead. So there are currently no limits as to what kind of files can be uploaded inside Connect. If a browser cannot open it, it will offer your students the option of downloading the file instead. The only limit here currently is that the maximum size cannot exceed 100 megabytes. Okay, let's take a look at exercises next. So we click on the Exercises tab here. Let's start by clicking on the plus new exercise button. And here we give the exercise a name. I will just name this one demo. And then we start adding parts to the exercise by using the editor. All I have to do is click on the plus button, and this menu appears. This menu includes all the parts that we can use while creating exercises. It has two different parts, content and tasks. These content parts are like instructions and source files for the exercise, and tasks are something that the students complete while doing the exercise. Let's go through them one by one quickly. Let's first go over the different content parts we have available to us. The first part is add text. By using this part, we're able to, for example, write instructions for our students, or we can insert source text for a reading comprehension exercise, for example. It just allows us to paste text into the exercise. The next part is record instructions. This allows us as a teacher to record our voice to be used in the exercise. It can be instructions, but it could also be something else, like a model dialogue, for example. The next part is embed file. This allows us to add pictures, for example, or if we want the students to work on a particular file, a PowerPoint presentation, for example, we would use this part here. The next part is embedding a YouTube video. It actually allows you to use Vimeo videos and Dailymotion videos as well, but you will be inserting a streaming video as part of the exercise for your students. And the final part here is embedding a web page. With this part, you can embed a web page inside the exercise. So for example, a piece of local news. For that, you would use this part. Let's move on to the tasks. At the top, we have a simple recorder. This is a one-track recorder, so your students will be using this to record their voice or the discussion they're having with their group, for example. It just allows them to record. The advanced recorder, on the other hand, is a two-track recorder. Here, the teacher defines a master track that the students listen to and record their voice alongside with it. The third part is an upload file area. This allows your students to upload files to you. So you can use this, for example, for returning homework. So you would include this as part of the exercise, for example. Or you use the embed file function we took a look at before, embed a Word document, and your students use the upload file area to return that Word document to you. The next one is writing space. This is useful for long-form answers, for example. It allows your students to write inside the exercise. The next part is a multiple choice question type. Here, the teacher defines a question and a set of answers and chooses the correct one. This can be automatically graded as well. And the next part is a question and answer part. Here again, the teacher defines a question and then a definitive answer to that question. This can also be automatically graded. And the final part we have available to us is gap fill. This allows us as a teacher to paste long texts inside the exercise and create gaps that the students have to fill in the text. This is very familiar from textbooks, for example. Now, for example, let's create a pair discussion exercise inside Connect. For that, we would first add instructions, so we'll use the add text part. Then we'll just add a simple recorder below that. Now let's close this menu here by clicking on the plus button. Okay, the menu disappeared. And now at the top, we have the add text part. It has some basic formatting options as well. So we'll be adding instructions for our students. Please record your discussion. Discuss for 2 minutes. And below that, we have the simple recorder. As a teacher, we're able to determine the maximum recording length for our students if we want. We don't have to do that, but since we asked our students to record themselves for 2 minutes, let's give them 2 minutes and 10 seconds to record themselves. The simple recorder also has the option of allowing the student to record only once. If you don't want to allow your students to redo their recording, you can choose this option here. We can also allow our students to download the recording by choosing this option here. We're creating a pair discussion, so we want to record the group audio as well. So we will hear the other participants in the group, in the pair discussion. So we choose that final option. Now we want to see how the exercise looks on the student end, so we click on preview. And it's that simple. At the top, your students have their instructions, and below that they have the simple recorder. And it's really simple. It only has a record button here. So when your students click on this record button, the system will start recording their voice. And since we chose the final option, it will also record the audio from other group members as well. Now we're satisfied with this exercise, so we click on save. The exercise appears here to the left, and we can click on the exercise and choose again share to session, just like in the file menu. This will send this exercise to our students and it will make it available to them. I will now share a more complex exercise with my students, so we can take a look at the different parts in action. So I'll share this one to my students. Again, this green thing appeared, letting us know that the exercise has been shared. So let's pop to the student end again. Our students received this prompt. You have a new exercise available, and you can view the exercise on your exercises tab. Okay. So the exercise appears up here and it says unopened. So now we click on the exercise, it preloads all the items, and as a student, we just simply click on start to begin. At the top, I've again used the add text part to add instructions for my students. Please watch the video and answer the questions below. Now your students can watch the YouTube video right here. If you have a lot of questions related to this YouTube video, they can also click on the overlay button, which will move the video into a smaller window that your students can easily move around. Let's return it to its original place just in case. Okay, I've added the YouTube video with the embed YouTube part here. So my students just click on play and watch the video. Below that, we have the question and answer type part added in. So here I've added instructions and then questions. What was the video about? About Sanako. And how long was the video? It was very long. Below that, I've created a short reading comprehension exercise for my students. Once again, I've used the add text part here. So I've added a paragraph of text that I want my students to read, and then we have a multiple choice question type below that. To whom did Jacob want to play Black Eyed Peas songs? I think it was Angie. Okay. After that, we have another type of exercise. I want to evaluate my students' pronunciation. So I've added text again. But I've also added instructions that my students should record themselves reading this commercial here. And below that, we have, again, the simple recorder. So the students click on the record button and start reading the exercise here. When they are done with the recording, they click on Stop again. Now your students are able to listen to what they just recorded. They can also re-record themselves if they're not satisfied with their recording, since as a teacher, we didn't choose the option of allowing them to record only once. They can redo the recording here and get additional practice easily. But okay, they are done with this exercise, so they click on Submit. Now they receive an automatic score here. 3 out of 3 is correct. And they can also see the correct answers. As a teacher, we're able to choose this option again. So it's not mandatory to show the correct answers to your students. But if you're not doing an exam, you might want to show them the correct answers as well. Okay, the students already see that they did pretty well here, but the recording cannot be automatically created. So the student is waiting for feedback from the teacher. Let's pop to the teacher and go to the Submissions tab, the final tab we have available to us. Now, if we click on the Submissions tab, we see all the exercises that we've created here. And this is the one we shared with our students. And there's a 1 next to that exercise. So we know we have 1 submission here. So now we click on the student name and we'll see what they did here. Okay, everything appears in green already and is automatically graded. We know that they got everything correct, but then we have the recording. So we click on play and listen to what they did here. After we reviewed their pronunciation, we'll assign them some feedback by using the feedback button here. It's currently writing based as well. Let's just send them a well done message. And then we click on send feedback. It will send this written feedback to this particular student. Let's quickly pop to the student end and see what happens there. They receive this huge prompt as well. Feedback from the teacher. Well done. Now, if our student forgot to record themselves, for example, and want to redo the exercise, we can easily do that as a teacher here. By clicking on this gear icon, we are able to reset the exercise for this particular student. So if we click on reset, it will remove all of their answers and their recordings, and they are able to redo the exercise. So we click on yes, reset submission. Now let's pop to the student end again. And here we see that the exercise is unopened. So the students have to redo the exercise. And once again, they click on start and start completing the exercise. Now, sometimes your students will forget to submit the exercise back to you and they leave the session. What you can do as a teacher then is you go to that particular exercise, click on it, and it opens up this view. Here we see that this student is in progress currently. So they've done something, but they forgot to submit the exercise back to us. We can collect the exercise here by clicking on the collect button. It will take the exercise back from that student and we will see how far they got before they left, for example. And again, we can see what they did here and assign them feedback if needed. The collect function here is also useful if you want to share a timed exercise with your students. So you can let your students know, for example, that exactly at 4 o'clock, I'm going to collect the exercises back from you, and I will grade what you've done so far. So it can be used for quick and timed exams as well, for example. Does anyone have any questions at this point? We are going to take a look at the different parts in the exercise creation more in detail.
Can I ask one question, sorry?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. One question I did have was with the video sharing. I know you embed the YouTube video.
Yeah.
What we do with Lab 100 that we use at our uni is we show the students simultaneously a video and then stop the video and then ask them to record themselves. Can you have a functionality such as that where students simultaneously see a video or hear an audio clip and then do a recording?
Yeah, that's currently in development. So we're figuring out how we should do that here, because
Excellent.
Connect allows you to have both synchronous and asynchronous sessions, for example. So we first built the foundation and now we're starting to add features on top of it. So we're trying to figure out how we would do that. I know the use case you're suggesting. So you would be playing back either a video or an audio file for your students, and you would also be controlling their recorders. So
Yes.
you would, yeah. So that's already in development, and it will be added here soon. Currently, if you do it inside Connect now, you would have to cede control over to your students for that. So you would if you have the file, for example, the video file, you would embed it and you would add a recorder for your students below that, for example. Or if you have the video in your Google Drive, for example, you could use the embed YouTube function for that as well.
Excellent.
You would go to your Google Drive account and choose the video, and there's an option for copying a public link. And then you would just paste that link here, just like you would add a YouTube video, for example. So you could use your Google Drive videos as streaming video source here easily. Okay, I just currently don't have a YouTube video.
Oh no,
here
that's fine.
But I'll just
Thank
quickly show how that works. So you go to, you get a streaming video link. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Let's use that one. So I just copied that link and I'll add that there. It could be the Google Drive link. And then below that, we would have the simple recorder where the students can record themselves. And the exercise would look like something like this. So the students would look at the video, but they would have to pause it themselves in, the correct position and then record themselves.
Okay, thank you for showing me that.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You could also have, you can have multiple simple recorders inside the exercise as well. So you could just have a bunch of recorders there. And for example, this would be for question 1, question 2.
Oh, right. Okay. Excellent.
So it gives you already a lot of options, but it does require effort on the teacher end currently. And we're trying to make it easier for you to use. But there's a lot of options here that you can use in the meantime before we implement that feature.
Yes.
But it's definitely very high on our priority list, since that function is something that people use in Lab 100 and Study 1200 the most. So it's definitely coming as soon as we figure out the proper way to do it here.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no worries. We could take a look at the difference between the simple recorder and advanced recorder, because the advanced recorder is again something that you will most likely be using in language learning. So I'll just add an advanced recorder below the simple recorder so we can see the difference there. Okay, so the advanced recorder is a 2-track recorder. Here, the teacher chooses a master track that the students listen to and then record their voice alongside with it. So currently we don't have a master track selected, and we click here, and all the files that we've uploaded by using the file function here are already available to us. We can also upload the master track we want to use by using this area here. It's exactly the same area as in the file area. So you can just drag and drop your MP3 files here and choose them as the master track. I'll assign one of the MP3s I've already uploaded here as the master track. And let's take a look at the preview so we'll see the difference between these two. So at the top we have the simple recorder. It just allows the students to record their voice. But below that we have the advanced recorder. So here the red bar represents the master track that the students will hear when they click on play. So it could be, for example, a series of questions. And then the students record their voice alongside. If we don't have any MP3 files or audio files available to us, we can add the record instructions part inside the exercise and record one ourselves as a teacher. So I just clicked on it and added it below. Now the record instructions part allows us as a teacher to record our voice inside Connect. So we can either give our students instructions or we can use that recording as the master track for the 2-track recorder. So we could just record a bunch of questions here. We can either leave space for the answers or our students can use a function called voice insert. Let's take a look at that too. So I'm recording myself as a teacher now. I click on stop. I can preview what I just recorded, but if I'm satisfied with it, I'll just choose yes, upload. And now that recording appears both here in the file menu. We can, by the way, share this with our students as well, but let's just use it as the master track for the advanced recorder. Now if we go to the list, that same teacher recording.mp3 is at the top of the list. Now our voice is set as the master track for the advanced recorder. After that, we can just remove this record instructions part completely from the exercise, since we already recorded our voice. Now if we take a quick look at the preview, this red bar now represents our voice as a teacher that we just recorded. I'll just save that exercise and close it and share it with my students here. Now we go to the student end again, and we get a prompt again that we have a new exercise available. Let's open the exercise and click on Start. It loads up the advanced recorder. Now if the student clicks on Play, we'll hear what we just recorded as a teacher in the background. And we are able to use this record button to record our voice alongside with it. Let's do it now. So after I've clicked on the record button, it's recording my voice. Now when I click on pause, a green bar appears here representing the student recording. Now, if the students want to use voice insert, they toggle it on. It will create gaps in the master track. So if the master track, for example, includes a bunch of questions, the students can insert their reply and it will create a gap in the master track here. Let's see how that works. So the voice insert is enabled and we click on record, and as a student, record our voice here. Now it added a gap to the master track here and the student voice is here. So there will be a pause in the master track and then it will continue again after the student playback. Now as a student, let's submit this back to the teacher so I can show you the options from the advanced recorder that are available to the teacher. So we click on the student again, and here we see what they just recorded. We are able to record, play back what the student has done. We will hear both the master track and the student track at the same time here. We also have the option of downloading a mono MP3 file version of this recording. It will have both the master track and student track playing from both channels at the same time. If we want to just hear, if we want to hear them separately, we'll choose this option here, a stereo MP3 file. So we click on that. It downloads a version of this file where the master track has been panned hard left. It's on the left left side of your headphones and the student recording will be on the right side. So this is useful, for example, for interpreting exercises. You get to isolate the student track on the other side of the headphones. We also have a submission from Tu. She did the same thing here. She recorded her voice alongside the master track. Okay, so now we've taken a look at how the advanced recorder works. It's probably something that you will be using a lot in your sessions. Now at this point, it's worth mentioning that you can create these exercises before you share the session link with your students. You can just create a bunch of exercises and just share all of them. You would still have no students here. And then you would share the classroom link with your students. And when your students log in, they will have all the exercises you've created and shared with them available to them. You don't have to be inside the session as a teacher if you've given your students good enough instructions to complete the exercises. So you can just log back in, for example, 2 days from now and take a look at what they've done through the submissions tab. So it's very easy to create asynchronous sessions as well here. You just create exercises for your students, share them, and then share the session link with your students. They can freely log in when they have the time and complete the exercises and submit them back to you. So, yeah, go ahead.
For the exercise 4, you can click in there for the submission.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
And you can view the answers from all the students at once when you...
Oh, yes. If you click on this button, you will be able to see all the student responses in the same window as well. If you don't want to see individual student submissions, you can just choose the option of seeing the answers, and you will see all the student recordings inside one window as well. Thank you, too, for reminding me about that. Now, we've covered a lot of ground here already. So if you encounter an issue, for example, you can go to the teacher menu, and from here you can choose to access our help site. So you click on the help site item and it opens up our Sanako Connect help site, which includes a lot of videos, guides, and articles, and frequently asked questions about Connect. We will be constantly updating this article collection as well as we go forward with the development. So please be sure to check in from time to time, even if you don't have any issues. We might just include new instructions here as well. Now, in the beginning, I already mentioned that the sessions remain open because they're created on the server, not on your computer. So even if you're not participating in a session as a teacher, but you've shared the session URL with your students will be able to log into the session. If you want to end the session, you go to the teacher menu and choose this option here, which says End Session. You will receive a prompt that you're about to end this session. After that, the students cannot continue their work or new students cannot join. You can still access an ended session to view submissions. So what this means that it will remove student access to this particular session. Your students won't be able to log in anymore. So when you're done with the session and don't want to use it anymore, go to the teacher menu and choose End Session. That means your students won't accidentally join this session the next time, for example. As a teacher, you can go to the session menu and go to the Ended tab, and you will see all your ended sessions here. You can still log in as a teacher and take a look at student submissions, for example. But these ended sessions cannot be reactivated at the moment. So it will just remove student access altogether for that session. Okay, does anyone have any questions at this point?
Yeah, hi, I'm Daryl. Can I have
hi,
a
Daryl.
question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, pertaining to the advanced recorder.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any size limit for the advanced recorder? Like how big is a file that you can actually upload?
The limit is the same as
It's the
with
same.
all the other files. So it has to be smaller than 100 megabytes currently.
All right. Okay. And second question is that how many advanced recorder can we add in one exercise?
Currently for the advanced recorder, unfortunately, I think the limit is only one inside one particular exercise. For the simple recorder, we don't have a limit, so you can have a lot of those in a row. But for the advanced recorder, we only allow one per exercise, for example, because it works a little bit differently from the simple recorder. Because it has to preload the audio into the browser, but you can also create multiple exercises very easily, which all have one advanced recorder in an exercise.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Following question is about the ended session.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Can I actually duplicate the ended session if I want to reuse the exercise?
We will be adding that feature here, but it will most likely be used with active sessions instead. So
yeah, but maybe sometimes I actually forgot and I ended a session, then I want to reuse it. Can it be duplicate?
I think we will be looking at that as well. So that's a good use case right there. So you would be, if you've accidentally closed a session, for example, or you remember that, hey, that one session had really good exercises, you could just make it available again or duplicate the session here. I will make a note of it that we will also add the feature of copying ended sessions, but duplicating existing sessions is already in development. And you will also be able to save exercises under your account. So you would have to create the exercise only once and you could use it in other sessions as well, easily. But that's currently in development. It's not here yet, but it will be in the future.
Okay, thank you.
If there's anything else that you notice missing or would like to have added in here, we are very open to feedback currently. We are at a stage with Connect where solution is in use in thousands of institutions around the world, and we are receiving constant feedback from teachers on features that they would like to see here. So if you have any feedback or problems with Connect, please feel free to contact us directly and we'll do our best to assist you, and we will communicate your feedback to the development team as well. From our end, I think we've concluded the presentation at this point. So if you have any more further questions, please feel free to ask them. We will be sharing a recording of this session after the webinar ends as well. But if you don't have any further questions, I think we can end the session here. Or did we just receive a question through the chat?
No, Martinez, just say thank you.
Okay, I will be ending my screen share here, and I'll just remind you that please get in touch with us if you have any issues or further questions. We'd love to get back to you on those.